happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. Now you guys can probably already tell it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely going to want to see this one. So we got many individuals coming out calling for the arrest and removal of that Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson after DOGE's latest findings revealed that the fraudulent and wasteful spending of the Chicago tax budget is way worse than what we've been led to believe, guys. I'm excited to get to this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Rest on Wall Street and the uncertainty in Washington, Mayor Brandon Johnson is sounding the alarm about next year's city budget.
He wants early talks and open dialogue with other city leaders. As some in council say they have been sounding this alarm for months now. Political reporter Chris Ty live at City Hall with where things go from here. Chris?
Joe and Marie, some on city council say the city has been budgeting programs as though federal COVID dollars will be here forever. They won't. They're gone. And what's arrived, some say, is a mayor late to sounding the fiscal alarm. With a springtime optimism, Mayor Johnson touting fresh city projects.
We look forward to seeing more cranes in the sky and shovels in the ground across our great city.
But a fair amount of financial strife in the air, too. About the crippling economic news from Wall Street to the White House, he wrote to members of council Monday, this volatility, combined with the projected budget gap, makes it all the more important that we work together. I'm asking all of you to lean into this process with the urgency it requires. An urgency some in council say he's late to acknowledge.
We were talking about this last year.
Alderman Scott Waguespack says last fall, he and nearly 24 alders sounded the alarm, writing on December 5th, over 4 months ago, "We take you at your word and want to truly collaborate."
This motion passes.
Instead, Waguespack says Johnson was laser focused on passing his budget, even as warnings about the road ahead were right in front of him.
I think time is going to show which one of us is correct.
It was Alderman Lopez in December. In November,
we need to right-size the budget to pre-pandemic levels.
It was Alderman Tabares. The landmine-laden 2026 budget now taking center stage on the 5th floor of City Hall.
Conversation cannot start off with cuts. That's my orientation.
When you say I don't want to start with cuts, what would you like to? Where is the?
We have to start with revenue.
That's a failed fantasy. Yes. I think the first thing you have to do is look at the cuts that you need to make, the hard choices that taxpayers are going to have to be made at City Hall too.
Alderman Brandon Riley telling me today he thinks Mayor Johnson is a day late and $1 short on zeroing in on this fiscal cliff ahead of City Hall. Others on council telling me they think the budget deficit is actually going to be much larger than the mayor is forecasting. Mayor Johnson saying it's going to be about $1 billion. Others saying it's much more than that. Some estimating it could go as high as $3 billion. Live at City Hall, Chris Ty, CBS News, Chicago.
Now, how did they get there, right? How did they get in such a bad condition? Well, we've been talking on this channel, and many other people have been talking about the obscene amount of money that the city of Chicago and many other cities have spent on people who do not have permission to be in the country, feeding them, clothing them, housing them, educating them, giving them benefits, and essentially taking that money away from the residents, the legal residents, and the citizens of their cities. So that's one big thing that we've gone over many times. Chicago has spent countless, I don't know if it's billions, but at least hundreds of millions of dollars. But also take a look at this very brief news report on probably one of the worst business deals ever made that a city has ever made in order to get some quick cash, y'all. Check this out.
It marks the 16-year anniversary of a financial deal so contentious, it is often referred to as one of the biggest blunders in Chicago.
We're talking about the infamous 75-year parking meter lease. Terrence is here to take us back in time.
Donna Scott, the year 2008. The mayor, Richard M. Daley, he pushed the deal through city council in just 72 hours. The lease gave private investors control of parking meters for 75 years. the $1.50 billion payout fixed a budget hole during the Great Recession. But critics say the money wasn't invested wisely. And now Chicago gets nothing while private investors make huge profits. Joe Ferguson with the Civic Federation says the city learned a hard lesson, especially council members who, after the fact, complain they didn't have enough time to read the fine print. Private investors recouped their investment in just 15 years, leaving decades of profits ahead. Chicago, meanwhile, lost a reliable revenue stream and is still grappling with budget challenges. By the way, the deal doesn't expire until 2083. Wow. We'll be flying cars by then.
Yeah.
Now, all of this is definitely not lost on the citizens of Chicago. They know what's going on. They are not lost in the sauce. They are informed. They see what's happening. Maybe for the time being, they have to ride with it because they did vote Brandon Johnson in. He has a little bit, a couple of more years left as mayor. So they have to ride it through, right? But they're not lost. They're not lost in the sauce. And I'm going to show you how you know. Because as you will see here, Danielle Carter Walters testified in front of Congress just today. She is one of Chicago's most outspoken advocates, and she's going to call it exactly as it is. Now, I did play this in the previous video, okay? But I think, it's worth watching again. And if you haven't seen it, sit back, relax, and she's going to give it to you exactly how it is. You're going to see exactly what's happening from somebody who's informed. Let's take a look.
Thank you for your testimony. I will next hear from Ms. Carter Walters.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and esteemed members of the subcommittee. And thank you to President Donald J. Trump, the people's president, for giving Chicago Flips Red our first platform, and to the subcommittee for the opportunity to speak truth in the people's house. We proudly stand with our president to bring his message to the Black American community and expose the lies pushed by the Democrat Party and the fake news media. We are here to confront the reality of sanctuary cities. Despite the word sanctuaries, these cities are anything but safe. Chicago has claimed the title for years, and now we're drowning in the consequences. Lifelong residents are pushed aside, schools are overcrowded, crime is out of control, and affordable housing is vanishing. This crisis exploded under Biden and were worsened by the reckless, agenda-driven leadership of Lori Lightfoot and Brandon Johnson. They didn't just ignore the collapse, they fueled it. In December 2023, a few aldermen tried to give us a voice, but the mayor and his allies used systematic stunts to block the vote on a non-binding sanctuary city referendum, silencing Chicagoans and stripping us of our right to choose. Every elected official swears an oath to serve their constituents and uphold the Constitution. Brandon Johnson has failed. He's dismissed that oath in his obsession with keeping Chicago a sanctuary for illegal aliens. He's driven our city into a $1 billion deficit, handed out shady non-bid contracts, and funneled over $6 million into services for illegal aliens. That's why we demand a full forensic audit focused on migrant-related spending. This isn't mismanagement, it's organized looting of taxpayer dollars. ShotSpotter, a life-saving gunshot detection tool, is gone. Hyde Park now bears a permanent 720-bed shelter as illegal alien shelters multiply all over our city. Tax increment financing, known as TIF, meant to revive struggling areas, are being embezzled. Our kids aren't learning to read while the city teachers cater to non-English speakers. These are deliberate acts of neglect, justified by Chicago's sanctuary city status. Lori Lightfoot licked the fuse with executive orders, and D.E.I. Johnson poured gasoline on the fire. Field houses has been taken. Police stations overrun with illegal aliens in tents and are on the floors, leaving officers demoralized. My husband, a retired CPD officer, saw it all. Violence, disease, measles and tuberculosis outbreak, prostitution, and bed bugs that reached our home. Since 2025, over 51,000 illegal aliens have flooded into Chicago. The city's answer? Blend migrant and homeless shelters under the One System initiative and hope no one noticed. Homelessness has jumped by 207% as 2,100 beds go to illegal aliens. When state funding ends in 2025, corrupt insiders will pass the contracts among themselves. This isn't policies, it's racketeering. My husband and I are tax-paying business owners. We did everything right. We invested in the Opportunity Zone, thank you, President Trump, applied for grants, and we were denied. Yet 140,000 illegal alien-run businesses were funded without question. Law-abiding citizens are being replaced to serve a political machine. MS-13, Trendy Agua, they're here. Their graffiti marks our neighborhoods. New gangs, the Venezuelan Disciple is forming in our neighborhoods. One shelter gets 20 to 30 police calls daily. Drug use, harassment, loitering, and violence have turned parks, sidewalks, and porches into no-go zones. This isn't immigration. This is an invasion. Sanctuary cities do not protect us, they abandon us. The citizens of Chicago, we demand a full forensic audit of every dollar tied
Ms.
to
Carter-Walters, very much appreciate your testimony, but we have to limit it to 5 minutes. But you'll have...
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, $3 billion deficit for the city of Chicago. And to think this could have all been avoided if this silly mayor, Brandon Johnson, would have just bent the knee, let his ego go, put all his pride aside and said, hey, these folks are here illegally. I'm not going to use all my city's tax budget in order to make sure these people are, fed, housed, and clothed. It doesn't make sense. You wasted so much of your tax budget. Now everyone's looking at you. And I can't even say that I feel bad in this situation because we already know Chicago has been doing this for decades now. Vote blue no matter who. And this is what you get. You guys need to start doing your research. Due diligence on who your candidate truly is, because I think this is the second mayor straight that they've been burned on. They had that last one that was also very negligent and incompetent. Now we've got who they're calling DEI Johnson running the show, and this guy, it sounds like he's been pocketing hand over fist with this whole illegal, because why else would he have such interest and care for this sanctuary city policies, making sure that everyone stays in his city, and he's funding it, making sure all the money's going straight towards these migrants. I believe he's getting a piece of that pie. And I'm glad to see that the voters and the officials of his district are now calling for a full-on forensic auditing of any expenditures going towards these illegal migrants, these migrant shelters, or housing and feeding them, because we need the receipts. Once you start following that money, you already know what's going to happen. It's going to blow the lid right off of this thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen another Fonnie Willis situation where he's been getting kickbacks and he's been employing his friends or his girlfriend's getting the money and she's taking him on trips with it. There is no way that Brandon Johnson isn't benefiting from this in some way, guys, but definitely hop in that comment section. Let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to hear what you guys have got to say on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you did enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one.